Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the brand new fusion that has been announced by Plarium alongside its collab with Monster Hunter. So these 5 new champions are being released into the game with Hunter inspired armor. So this is the fragment fusion that would be up for grabs with the theme. So in this video, I'm going to go over the kit, where I think she's going to be useful, and what I think about her overall. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so let's quickly see what Plarium has to say about this fragment fusion champion, Zinogre Blademaster. So that's what we're getting. On Thursday, January 11th, we're planning to launch champion fragment event for brand new champion, Zinogre Blademaster. Shadowkin, legendary attack-based magic champion. So she will come in handy when dealing with PvE content such as Fire Knight Castle, both normal and hard mode, Curse City, and Doom Tower. Basically, whenever multi-hit is required. Having a total of 11 hits on all skills, topped with some debuffs and some useful buffs, literally makes Zinogre Blademaster an unstoppable force that swipes everything in its way. The passive skill helps to use low HP in your favor by increasing the damage dealt by the champion for 50% per 50% HP lost, paired with being able to survive, be saved from dying with 1 HP and healing up to 50% makes it possible to cheat death itself. Alright, so I mean, Plarium thinks it's a PvE champion, so no mention of arena or anything like that. So let's jump into the kit and see what it actually comes down to. So A1 blade combo, triple hit, 30% chance to place a weaken for 2 turns. All damage in the books, 3 books for 20% damage. Not the best value there, but triple hit, pretty good. Weaken, weaken and defense down is it's pretty similar. Weaken's probably slightly worse. Blade strike, 4 turn cooldown down to 3 turns, 2 books for 20 damage. Seems okay. Attacks one enemy 4 times, quad hitter, that's really nice. Each hit increases its champion's turn meter by 50%, so each hit increases by 5%, so that's instantly 20% turn meter. And then also places 30% increased speed on all allies for 2 turns. Now that's really nice. It's not just on herself, it's a team buff actually. So now we can see how she can be really valuable in dungeons like Fire Knight, for example. Increased speed is very, very hard to squeeze into your team if you have a really high optimized team. So having it on a damage dealer is really, really nice. A3 blade spin, 4 turn, book down to 3 turns. It's got 20% damage in books and then needing 2 books for the debuff chance. Attacks 1 enemy, another quad hit. Before attacking, places increased attack on this champion. Nice. The first and second hit each have a 75% chance of landing leech. Third and fourth hit each have a 75% chance of landing decrease attack. Okay, so kinda you might be able to get away with no books. Like you might be able to get away without booking the debuff chance or the cooldown on this, depending on a bunch of stuff, right? Like it'll be a 4 turn cooldown, increase attack, quad hit against Fire Knight boss. You don't really need leech or decrease attack on the Fire Knight boss, so you technically don't need the books here. The cooldown might not matter that much, and also you're hitting it twice at 75% chance. I believe the math for that is it's 25% chance to miss twice, and the odds of that happening is 6.25% chance. So you have about 95% chance to actually land your debuff without any books. So you don't need books in this skill, but obviously if the fight is long, then maybe the 4 turn cooldown is better. It's also a quad hit, which is 1 extra hit more than her A1. I think it's a pretty low, honestly, pretty low book value. Honestly, you might be able to get away with no books in her, but she's a damage dealer, so you probably want damage books. Hard to say, but she could be like a little bit of damage, but then also the increased speed buff could be very useful. Anyways, let's jump into her passive. Zinogre. Sorry, I've been calling it Zinogre, but it's Zinogre. Zinogre. Her passive effect increased her damage by 1% for every 1% HP loss. Stacks up to 50%. So similar to like Artak, where he gets more stats for losing HP. This increased damage doubles if the target is under decreased defense. She doesn't place decreased defense herself, so that's a little bit awkward, but not all Fire Knight teams have decreased defense. So this might not apply, so she might just get 1% per HP lost. She has an active effect, 4-turn cooldown, no books. Prevent this champion's death, so she basically cannot die first time. Keeps them alive for 1 HP when hit by a fatal hit. If this skill prevents this champion's death, heal them to 50% of their max HP. So when they die, they come back with 50% HP. However, if they're under heal reduction, they cannot be revived this way. It's actually kind of interesting why heal reduction is here, but I think she gets basically 1 extra cheat life for 50% HP. And when she comes back, she will get the damage boost as well. So it's actually, very synergistic. Her aura, ally speed, and all dungeons by 30%. So I can see this champion being pretty good. I mean, for Fire Knight hard actually. And the fact that she doesn't need books to land debuffs, because she doesn't really need to land debuffs, and because the chances of landing the debuffs are already very good. And she has multi-hits on all her abilities. She might actually hit kind of hard. But we'll have to see. If her multipliers are okay-ish, she might actually see some use as the boss takedown champion. But obviously her value is in her multi-hit abilities and her team increased speed, which, like I said, incorporating it into an endgame team is actually quite difficult. And yeah, I mean, yeah, she's a really solid champion, it seems like. For endgame accounts, she might not be good enough. For example, for my Fire Knight hard team, I'd be using her in place of my Razzlevarg. So my Razzlevarg I use in my Fire Knight hard 10 team. So for example, this is my team. I would basically take out Razzlevarg for Zinogre, and then she would bring the 30% speed aura instead of the 20% speed aura. However, Razzlevarg, he brings what is it? He brings multi-hit A1, similar to the fragment fusion. He brings AoE damage. Leech is not important, but the AoE damage is really good because it helps clear the waves. So that's going to be a problem I see with the new Blademaster fragment legendary, is that she's a single target champion, right? She does bring more multi-hits, but she doesn't do any wave clear damage. So she needs to be like a pure boss killer. Okay. And then, yeah, so Razzlevarg does bring the increased speed himself as well. Increased accuracy, not super relevant for Fire Knight hard or anything like that. But, 2 AoEs, he hits decent, and then he's pretty easy to stack, get going with the increased speed. So obviously the increased 100 speed on him is going to be better than 20% turn meter that's on the fragment. So that's going to be my kind of benchmark. She's not going to be as good as Razzlevarg in my opinion. So for me, as an endgame player, she's most likely not going to make it into any Fire Knight teams, I would think. But it really depends how hard she actually hits. Also, her passive doesn't necessarily work super well in an optimized dungeon team, because you kind of go into the boss thinking that you will not get hit. That's the thing, right? So you go into the Fire Knight boss thinking that you won't get hit. So then she won't actually get boosted damage from her passive. So yeah, it's kind of doesn't really work, but I could see her being helpful in maybe a progressing account trying to get through the Fire Knight hard. But in endgame farm teams, I don't really see it happening. Her team speed aura is really nice, 30%. I mean, that's pretty high for dungeons. So that's pretty high. That can help you maybe hit some certain speed thresholds for some of the higher hard levels of Fire Knight. So I can definitely see her being helpful for progressing players. But if you have a Razzlevarg, I think Razzlevarg will be better than her overall. But of course, there's going to be, play testing and stuff like that to happen, and then we'll see how well she actually does. But that's going to be my benchmark for her. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'm still going to pick her up, no problem. Remember, January 11th, that's going to be Thursday. We're probably going to start off with a summoning event, since last week was a champion chase. But that's just my guess. You never know what player I'm going to do nowadays. But yeah, anyways guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate you all. See you guys in the next video.